What if I told you the barndominium everyone's obsessed with is actually the second best option? There's a build method quietly replacing barndominiums in 2026 because it does something barndos can't. It gives you the barn shell savings and the resale value of a real farmhouse. Builders are calling it the hybrid farmhouse, and by the end of this video, I'll show you the exact numbers, down to the dollar, on how it can save you over $100,000 compared to a standard stick-built home, without you ending up with something that looks like a metal shed with windows. Before we get into the breakdown, if you're planning a build in the next year or two, hit subscribe now. I'm about to walk through real 2026 cost data, the exact mistake that tanks barndominium resale value, and the one design trick that lets you keep almost all the savings while avoiding that mistake completely. You'll want to see the full comparison at the end, because the difference between doing this right and doing it wrong is easily a six-figure swing. The barndominium trap. Let's start with why everyone's been obsessing over barndominiums in the first place. In 2026, a finished barndominium typically runs somewhere between $65 and $160 per square foot, with the national average landing around $230,000 for a full build. Compare that to traditional stick-built construction, which is commonly running $200 or more per square foot. On paper, that's a massive win. But here's what most videos don't tell you. The savings on a barndominium come almost entirely from the shell, the steel frame, the roof, the open floor plan. The structure itself is usually only about 25% of your total cost. The other 75%? Insulation, drywall, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, flooring, fixtures, all the stuff that makes it livable. And that part costs basically the same, whether you're building a barndo or a farmhouse. So the huge savings barndominiums promise only apply to a quarter of your budget. The hidden cost nobody talks about. Here's the part that really matters, and it's the reason I said barndominiums are the second best option. Resale value. In rural markets, Texas, Tennessee, parts of the Midwest, barndominiums sell fine, sometimes close to what a traditional home fetches. But move into a suburban market or try to get a mortgage appraisal, and things get messy fast. Lenders often don't have enough comparable sales to appraise a barndo properly. Buyers who want a real house feel can be turned off by a structure that still reads as a metal building, no matter how nice the inside is. That mismatch between exterior appearance and buyer expectations is exactly where barndominiums lose value. And it's the single biggest risk in going all in on the barndo look. So you're stuck with a choice: save money now with a barndo, and risk giving some of it back later when you sell. Or spend $200 plus per square foot on a stick-built farmhouse and lose the savings altogether. That's the trap. And it's exactly the problem the hybrid method was built to solve. What the hybrid farmhouse actually is. So what is this hybrid approach? It's simple. You use post-frame construction, the same structural system barndominiums are built on, for the shell. But instead of stopping there, you finish the exterior with true farmhouse elements: board and batten or lap siding, a traditional gable roofline, stone or brick accents at the base, a wraparound or timber porch, real trim and window detailing. Structurally, it's a barndominium. Visually and functionally, it's a farmhouse. That's the whole hybrid. Why does this work financially? Post-frame construction skips the continuous concrete foundation that stick-built homes require, since large posts are set directly into the ground or on footings, spaced 8 to 12 feet apart instead of the 16-inch stud spacing used in traditional framing. That single difference cuts framing and foundation costs by roughly 20 to 40%, and it also means dramatically less labor time on site. Here's the number that matters. On a 2,000 square foot home, if stick-built construction runs around $200 per square foot, that's a $400,000 build. A hybrid post-frame farmhouse, done with a solid mid-range finish level, commonly lands in the $150 per square foot range once you factor in the farmhouse exterior upgrades, putting the total closer to $300,000. That's your $100,000 in savings, not from cutting corners, from cutting an outdated, more expensive framing method. Why it solves the resale problem. Now here's why this beats a straight barndominium, not just a stick-built home. Remember the resale issue we talked about? Appraisers and buyers react to what they see and what they can compare it to. A home with a farmhouse exterior, traditional roof lines, real siding, a porch, landscaping that reads residential. gives appraisers comparable sales to work with, because it looks like the house is already selling in that market. You're not asking a lender to get comfortable with a metal building. You're asking them to appraise something that looks exactly like the farmhouse 3 doors down. You keep the framing savings from post-frame construction. You avoid the "it looks like a shop" resale penalty that pure barndominiums can run into, especially outside rural markets. That's the entire hybrid advantage in one sentence. Barndo bones, farmhouse skin. Where the money actually goes. Let's get specific, because I don't want you walking away with a vague idea. I want you to know exactly where that $100K comes from and where it doesn't. Savings come from the post-frame structural shell, reduced foundation work, faster build timeline meaning less labor and overhead cost, and if you go with a pre-engineered kit for the frame, you can shave off even more on the structural side. Savings do not come from insulation, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, interior finishes, or the farmhouse exterior upgrades themselves. Board and batten siding, stone accents, and a real porch cost real money. That's part of why this isn't a $150K savings like a bare-bones barndo might claim. You're intentionally spending some of your savings back into the exterior because that's what protects your home's value long-term. Realistically, expect site costs, well, septic, grading, clearing, to add another $20,000 to $60,000 depending on your land, regardless of which method you choose. That part doesn't change. And here's a bonus most people don't expect. Because posts are spaced 8 to 12 feet apart instead of every 16 inches like a stick-built wall, you actually get far fewer thermal breaks in the structure. That means insulating a post-frame shell, with spray foam or a flash and bat approach, can end up tighter and more energy efficient than a traditional stud wall. So this isn't just a cost shortcut. In some ways, it's a better built wall. The one mistake that kills this plan. If you remember one thing from this video, make it this. The hybrid only works if you commit to the farmhouse exterior fully. Half measures, steel siding with a couple of farmhouse light fixtures slapped on. Don't fool appraisers or buyers. They can still tell. You need the roof lines, the porch, the material choices to actually read as residential from the street and in photos. That's non-negotiable if you want the resale protection. The second mistake, assuming financing works the same as a normal home. Because this still uses a post-frame structural system, some big national lenders may not have a standard product for it, even with the farmhouse look. You'll likely want to work with a local lender, a construction loan specialist, or a farm credit union that already understands post-frame and barndominium adjacent builds. Specifically, ask about a one-time closed construction loan. It rolls your construction phase and your permanent mortgage into a single closing, so you're not requalifying or paying 2 sets of closing costs once the home is finished. Ask about this before you fall in love with a floor plan. So to sum up the whole comparison, stick-built farmhouse, full traditional resale value, easiest financing, but you're paying top dollar, $200 plus per square foot, and often more. Straight barndominium, maximum savings, fastest build, but real resale risk outside rural markets and potential appraisal headaches. Hybrid farmhouse, post-frame structural savings, plus a true residential exterior that protects resale value, landing you around $100,000 less than stick-built on a typical 2,000 square foot home, while sidestepping the barndo resale trap almost entirely. If you're building in the next year or two, this is the version I'd actually tell a friend to look into first. If this saved you from a $100,000 mistake, subscribe. Because next week I'm breaking down the exact floor plans and builders making this hybrid style work in 2026, including the one design detail that convinces appraisers this is a real house every single time. Drop a comment telling me which route you're leaning toward, barndo, stick-built, or hybrid. I read every one. See you in the next video.